The music and the performance and the fashion are one. I don't separate my art from my life. It is one whole thing.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Tom.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Patrick, and this is Chewing on Pearls, the show where we dissect and decipher Lady Gaga's chameleonic career and its impact, one pearl at a time.
And we're back. We're so back. We're so back, and in typical fashion, when we're planning to record an episode, Lady Gaga, this lady Gaga.
Yeah, that one.
She decides to release something when we decide to record. And so we had plans to do a That's Gossip episode, and Rolling Stone dropped their Voices of the Year cover story on Gaga today. And so we're pivoting. Soft pivot.
Sorry, That's Gossip, November 13th. You'll never see the light of day.
Right. Like,
Yes.
we can skim. We can skim.
But it's also like, y'all know what she's up to.
Yeah,
like if you're listening to
touring.
this show, you've been paying attention.
Yeah. Gaga's touring. Halloween happened.
The Dead Dance hit 100 million streams because of Halloween.
Yeah. So there you have it.
There you have it.
That's
She
kind
wore
of
a really incredible fecal matter number again and said, I'm the Garden of Eden.
yeah. For Halloween. That's cute.
Lady Starlight went to the Mayhem Ball and Gaga shouted her out.
That's a big highlight. We talked about the Hey Girl and Florence of it all in our last episode.
Go check out the last episode.
Go check out the last one while you're at it.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of convenient because if there's one thing that we do well here on Chewing on Pearls, it's dissect a piece of music journalism about Lady Gaga. And I say that because I recently re-listened to, it was like our third or fourth episode that we ever did. This is over a year ago now. Venice and Vogue. And I told Patrick to re-listen to it as well recently. And it is so good.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not telling you to stop listening to this episode because we want you to listen to what we put out there. But I do feel like this piece of music journalism from Rolling Stone is an interesting kind of like closing of many of the conversations that were opened in the Vogue piece that came out last October.
Right.
And so I think it's an interesting part of the conversation that I think we'll kind of engage with potentially.
But so we're skimming the headlines. We're giving you That's Gossip light, but of note, probably the most important thing that's happened since the last time we have spoken. Gaga is leading the pack for women artists at the Grammys in 2026 with 7 nominations.
Congratulations to Lady Gaga and her team.
Yeah. Incredible.
And she did go on stage at the Mayhem Ball, wherever she was in Europe, and she was like, "Oh, we're nominated at the Grammys."
To be more specific, Gaga's nominations at the 68th Annual Grammy Awards. I feel like every year is the 68th Annual Grammy Awards. It's been the 68th Grammys for like most of my life.
Yeah.
Mayhem nominated for Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Album. Abracadabra nominated for Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Dance Pop Recording. Disease nominated for Best Pop Solo Performance. I know that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And Harlequin nominated for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album. I know that's correct.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is I look at this and I'm like, she's going to win at least half of these.
Well, she better win at least one.
Yeah,
JK,
I mean,
JK.
Harlequin.
We're not those girls.
Harlequin.
But we're banking on Harlequin.
Yeah. It's just a funny thing because, like I said in a previous episode, it's like I don't care about this until Gaga's involved, and then I'm like, wait a second.
She's
I'm rooting for
sweeping.
her. Yeah, she's sweeping.
And to not to downplay, her nominations this year actually do mark several landmark moments in Grammy history. So, like I said, she's the most nominated woman of the year, second most nominated artist, I think second to Kendrick Lamar. Also, sister diva, sister of the pod.
Yeah.
Kendrick.
Hey, Kendrick.
Hey, Kendrick. She's the first artist in Grammy history to have her work nominated across the entire pop and dance electronic fields. She's got a nomination in every single category in both of those genres. That's kind of crazy. Mayhem has achieved a total of 9 Grammy nominations. It's her most nominated album. That's crazy. She's the first ever artist to be nominated for Best Pop Vocal Album and Best Traditional Pop Album. And with 5 Career Album of the Year nominations, she ranks 4th amongst women in Grammy history for the most nominations, following Taylor Swift, Barbra Streisand, Beyonce, and then Gaga.
Which is so funny because Gaga's 5 are The Fame Monster, Born This Way.
I think The Fame.
The Fame, really?
I think so. The Fame.
Love for Sale.
The Fame Monster.
Born
Love
This Way
for Sale.
for sure.
Born This Way, Love for Sale. Fake fans.
Fake fans.
Cancel us.
I don't know why I doubt that her debut was, but
I don't know.
Such
Maybe
a
I'm
debut.
just being crazy.
No.
I don't know. I mean, we could look it up, but
yeah, but we're
a little
here.
misinformation doesn't hurt. It's all
no.
the rage.
There was definitely misinformation in our Florence episode as well on my
Whatever.
part.
I don't
I
care.
listened to it back and I was like, I'm a liar.
If you're listening to this, you already know that we can't really be trusted.
Where our memory, our capacity.
Yes. When I look back at my life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
We're writing it as we go.
Yeah,
The history
yeah,
of
totally.
the kingdom, if you
Yes.
will.
Yes.
Yeah, but let's get into this. Let's get into this Rolling Stone moment.
The cover is a gag. She looks incredible.
Yeah, let's get into the looks.
Yes,
she was styled by Hard Style,
yes.
photographed by Greg Swales. And these are some beautiful images.
She looks stunning.
So good. Something I love about these images is the piano headpiece in tandem with the long finger prosthetics. I think there's a conversation there. I feel like I could see Gaga being like, oh, I love this headpiece. Like, yes, let's do that. But then I want to have really long fingers if I'm going to have a piano headpiece.
I also think too, and we'll get into this when we talk about Gaga's caption when she shared this story on Instagram, but she's like talking about the storm of it all, and like being surrounded by the birds, like the birds of prey. And then she's like, I became one of them. And so I love that this piano headdress also looks avian bird.
Yes.
It's got this like feathered hair situation going on. And there are these like ravens or crows around her, which made me think that the fingers, not only are they extensions, prostheses, we love when she plays with a freaky deaky prosthetic moment, but they're also like talons, like she's a bird.
Totally. She wears these other headpieces that are just feathers in the shoot as well. Like there's one in particular that reminds me of what you wore to the Mayhem ball.
I know she's watching. This is the second time she's actually referenced my Mayhem ball.
Yes. Yeah. And then there's one that reminds me very much of her.
The Fame Monster.
No, it's this one where she's in the red look. Yeah. It reminds me of her shoot with Annie Leibovitz.
The Vanity Fair?
Vanity Fair, where she's like has like the pigeon headpiece. It very much reminds me of that. But yeah, I love this idea of her hands being talons.
Yeah.
And the birds of it all, and the Hitchcock of it all, and the Madonna Frozen.
Well, and also it's almost like there's something about like Gaga's editorial uniform for all of her magazine shoots during the Mayhem era that's just like so correct. Like
correct.
Vogue, Elle, this, like there is this through line, this like stylistic through line where it's like they're thinking like macroscopic. Then again, the ideas that they're playing with are not the craziest in the world. It's like black, white, red, and like these shapes and silhouettes. But the fact that they're committing to it, across these different depictions of her.
Right.
You know, she's been known to, it's like she'll appear and reappear in the same week completely different. And now
Right.
it's like, no, there really is this mayhem aesthetic that is so clear.
Yeah, and I love how it has evolved as the public has learned more about what mayhem is, and as she has
Right.
learned more, because
Right.
in the Vogue looks from October of last year, before we even knew the name of Mayhem, before
Right.
Harlequin was even out,
Right.
the looks were so informed by her role in Joker, Gaga as artist, but there was this dark edge. She had played snippets in Paris that last summer.
We were like picking up on the duality.
Yes.
We were picking up on this, like, it's what I think is really interesting, and this is like kind of a, I don't know, hot take. Something that I'm gonna throw out there is it feels important that there's like some sort of shoulder sleeve and then no pant in like Mayhem. Like, we're seeing the return to Gaga in this kind of like leotard aesthetic.
Yeah,
and I feel like when she's doing it in Mayhem, it's like big on top, nothing on the bottom.
Yeah. And then, it's interesting. There has been like from Harlequin to now, there's been a lot of like sheer thigh-high tights. You know what I mean? Like that kind of the doll of it all, the haunted
it's like
doll
knee-high boot with a thigh-high sock.
Yeah.
And then just like a black t-shirt.
Yeah. And then like when the Elle shoot came out, that was when Mayhem was announced. And that was that shoot where she was like in the house. She was like wearing white and posing like
That's one of my favorite photos.
She had like the hose in the yard. Like it was such a
But then she was in these like beautiful like black gossamery gown situations. And it's like this isn't not that. I know that.
Right.
I'm a linguist.
And the shot of her, and the shot of her like sitting in the chairs, the white mask on with the feathers, like
it's
kind
like
of
this
reminiscent of paparazzi. Like there's like
just the visual language right now is great. It's hitting.
Right. And I do love the exceptions to what you noted in this shoot too, where she's wearing this kind of long black slip kind of dress.
YSL.
And then in another, she's wearing this kind of like satin, kind of reminiscent of like a straight jacket.
Well, that makes me think of
so
like
good.
the Elle shoot, and it makes me think of the Mayhem album shoot. And
yes,
this
the
kind
New
of
York
like,
Times.
and like the buttoned up of it all.
And the flower. Like that was the thing with the New York Times.
New York Times.
And I think she has it in her mouth again in this.
Yeah.
So it's just weird because I'm like, it's not weird. It's amazing. It's amazing because, and we'll get into the content, but
it's like, it's like the next level of what we've come to know and expect from her.
Yes.
It's just like so clear.
Yeah, it is very clear. And it is mayhem in that these images, is there like a visual story? Yes, because it's an editorial for a publication. But these images shatter any like stan culture expectations of like the era idea anyway, because I'm like, I look at this and I'm like, this is 2011, and I look at this and I'm like, this is 2014, and I'm like, this is 2017 Gaga face.
I mean, honestly, the one that you showed me with the black slip, the YSL, it's like that is the Fame Monster shoot where she has the fucking bird on her head. Like,
right. There's like a lot of, I mean, I could really pick these apart. You could pick these apart and see like callbacks.
Classic us. We're like, we're going to talk about this article, but first let's look at the pictures.
Yes. And I think part of it is there's just so many images of Lady Gaga that it's easy to like find connections to past stuff. But I will say, I think she looks absolutely beautiful.
I love this wig with the like gray green wash.
And like the choppy bangs instead of the little micro bang she's been doing. It's just right. It's like animal.
Yeah, it's like Raven-esque. She looks like a bird.
So the cover story, like on the cover of Rolling Stone, is called "The Rebirth of Lady Gaga," which is such a trope of her career. I feel like that term has been used a lot. She's used that term a lot.
Well, not to jump the gun, but I almost feel like we keep getting the same interview every couple of years.
Yeah.
I say that in meaning like the approach is the same. Like the result is always different, but it is kind of the same story.
A reintroduction story or something.
Right. For someone who's like one of the most famous people in the world. So it's just interesting that that is always the kind of like.
I think part of that is you and I have been so deeply in the world of Gaga.
So deeply ill.
Yes. And she is one of the most famous people in the world. But I think naively, I forget that people still find her to be quite mysterious.
Yeah.
And still are like, what's her deal? And I think because we've consumed every piece of journalism, we've watched every interview, we've rewatched everything and dissected it a million times on our own and together and with other friends and yapping at our parents from the backseat of the car. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It feels like, how do you not know this?
Right.
How is this news? But it is because people are like bewildered by this woman still. And I'm bewildered by her too, but in such a different knowing way.
Totally.
But the article, the piece is called How Lady Gaga Found Herself Again, quote, I feel lucky to be alive, by Brian Hiatt.
Who last interviewed Gaga for Rolling Stones in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always interesting and fun when it's someone who like profiled an artist and then comes back and gets to talk to that person again. Gaga, I'm paraphrasing, but she said like basically like a lifetime's worth of things happened since they last spoke.
Totally.
Like the last, like from 2011 to now.
Mm-hmm. Though this writer pulls that out too and like pulls quotes from that time, which is what reminds me of the Venice or the Vogue piece from a year ago too. But basically within the first two paragraphs is saying that she was kind of bragging about not sleeping and living off of coffee and music and like and kind of like, I don't have time to sit down, like follow me, you know.
And her being like, if I'm not on stage, I'm dead.
And I kind of love this angle of this type of journalism about her just because she has been around so long and was so bombastic when she was younger. It's
she was not afraid of a declarative at a young age where she was speaking in these like absolutes, which this interview definitely kind of pokes at a bit.
Totally. And the writer kind of dives into like, this was right before she finished Born This Way, which was so successful and like incredible and insane. And he sort of says, from when I saw her and met with her and interviewed her last, it was impossible not to think of her just continually rising and rising and rising in this like loved, perfect upward arc, he says. And then he gets into the art pop immediately. Which I thought was bold.
Well, and I do think it's interesting. Well, first of all, if you haven't read the article, go check it out. If it's blocked by a paywall, send us a message.
Wink wink nudge nudge.
Wink wink nudge nudge.
We don't have an attorney though, so.
But I do think that there is something to be said about the fact that with Gaga, it feels like we're revisiting this thing that we keep revisiting every time we talk to her. It's like, okay, when are we going to let that go? Like it's always in there in a way that at this point I don't even feel is appropriate because so many people have come out and like co-signed that it's like, oh, the culture actually wasn't ready for her in the way that like she was ready to present herself.
I think that is so spot on. I think a year ago reading something like this would have felt like this was happening a year ago in a way where there was a lot of like, and even like a couple of years ago, this discourse that was like very much reminiscing on the last decade of her career. And so it does, as much as I love this piece of journalism, I also, there is a piece of me that is annoyed that we have yet another, let's say it, male writer kind of doing the rehashing of the trajectory of her career all over again. And that was his assignment. That's
Right,
what they
totally.
want for this piece. This is part of Grammy promo. This is a whole thing, and it's part of
And
it.
like we pointed out in our last kind of, or maybe two That's Gossips ago or whatever, whenever we talked about her on Colbert, that
Yeah.
it does feel very like this year there is a Grammy narrative, and it is about reclamation, including like the dark bits.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
you know, she's almost like so like candid in a way that feels like, whoa, like I'm sure everyone has kind of seen the big pull quote from this article, her just like flippantly being like, oh yeah, I was on lithium when we made A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting because at that time, A Star Is Born was like such the vehicle to launch her to like the next level of whatever being Lady
Right.
Gaga could mean beyond being a pop musician.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, no, they were like doping me up.
Yeah.
I was fried.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's exactly the piece of it that, like you're saying, it kind of gets microdosed, for lack of a better term,
Right.
like across all of this journalism, where it's like more and more she feels comfortable being honest about the dark parts of these things that have been so publicly lauded as like incredible. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
she's been pretty open that art pop was a dark time and that was like a very public thing. But for her to talk about A Star Is Born and be like, I wasn't fully there is pretty shocking, I think.
Yeah, and she says like after that movie, it was Natalie, her sister, being like, I don't know if I recognize you as like my sister, and her being like, I gotta cancel my tour and get like psychiatric help.
Yeah.
And like being institutionalized basically.
And there was a lot going on at that time as well. I believe, you know, trigger warning. I believe it was while she was touring Joanne that she also testified in Kesha's trial with against Dr. Luke. And I know that was, she has talked about how that was a huge break for her.
Yeah, I mean, it brought up a lot of shit. But it is interesting now to see like there's like a funny, I say funny, it's actually pretty awful, but there's like a tweet out there of like Gaga on Colbert again, funnily enough, for A Star Is Born press, where she's like, it's biological. And she's like talking about like trauma and the trauma response or whatever. And it's like I'll see if I can find it, but it's like, oh, they got my sister on the good shit. And it's like, well, now, yeah.
It is. It's like I see value in both approaches when we're talking about Gaga's story. Sometimes it does get me a little bit that it frequently is like, and she was such a mess. And
right.
She was
that's okay. I think that's what I'm trying to articulate, where I'm like, I'm kind of over this same narrative where it's like, and it's interesting now because we associate that with, you know, these things that are art pop turned 12, you know, like there's been a bit of time, but then she's like, oh yeah, Star Is Born, I was on lithium, House of Gucci, I was like really unwell on that set. And they say something in the article along the lines of like, yeah, it was like it was notable that there was a psychiatric nurse on the set, and people thought that was because of Gaga's like method acting, and it's like, no, that was because of Gaga's personal life. Like, they just had to have someone there to like make sure she was okay.
And it's like, if she's comfortable with all of this truth being shared, like obviously she is, because this is out here. I think it's just a lot of this narrative around Mayhem and in this like Grammy press kind of cycle relies on that. And I know that Mayhem, the album itself, also comes from
Right.
coming out of that place of pain and hurt and trauma. So like I get it. I think that maybe I'm just also picky about the way it's
Right.
written
Well,
about.
I think the thing that is harder for maybe a casual listener, a fan of Gaga to understand that she's talking about like the creation of Mayhem. And it's like, yes, that refers to the specific period of time that year that they made the album. But what she's really trying to get at is like, this is the kind of music that I've been trying to get back to and find for like the last X amount of years. Like art pop, Joanne, Chromatica, even in this article, she's like, yeah, I feel like I like couldn't find the poetry
Yeah.
of my music.
That's the thing. It's like I really deeply appreciate when we get a quote from Lady Gaga talking about this stuff in any of this writing, and especially in this article. I think it's the framing from the writer that sometimes bothers me. But
Right.
then when she speaks to it, I'm like, I get it.
Right.
And I do think it's notable that just as a fan, just as a little monster here, it like is mildly heartbreaking to read her say like Chromatica and Joanne were half-baked attempts at poetry, and they're so straightforward because I didn't have it in me. And that my fear did come from my first major criticism, which was art pop. And I think that's the piece of it where I don't remember art pop. Gaga's famous tweet from 2019, I think, has become a meme, you know, in the fan base. But it's like, oh shit, like that really was the beginning.
Well, and I think she says something, again, you can read the article, but along the lines of like, it's hard to stand your ground when everything is sinking around you.
Oof.
And, you know, she was like so adamant about how she wanted that to go and was fighting against the forces around her that were, I think she puts it in like, at a certain point, it got to a point where it was like, how can we make you as much money as fast as we can? Which reading between the lines is like, we don't think you're going to be around for long. So we're trying to set you up in a way now where it's like turn and burn. You make as much as you can and then you fade because we're not here for the long haul.
Right. And it's not you make as much as you can. It's you make
as much for all of us.
Yeah. And she, I think a little later, talks about being in rooms where it was like, what can we get her to do?
Right. What can we get her to do? Will she do this?
And I think some of what the public was seeing with art pop was the intersection of her artistic vision with a what can we get her to do, and her being is somewhat fueled by that as well in herself.
And then on the flip side of that, her, for probably the first time since, you know, making it big, she had to go back to the like, what does she have to do to get back into the graces?
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something about this too where I was like, they're going to study the art pop era in fucking textbooks because, and I'm not trying to like conceptualize Gaga's life in a way that is like, she is not a person. But what was the concept of art pop if not the melding or the attempt to meld the commercial and the fine art? And that whole era and the way it played out, it is like a demonstration of the way that it could not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what's so like meta about that whole thing is like she's talking about being in rooms without instruments. How far will she go? What can we get her to do?
Right.
But then she's like tweeting to fans like, I am a painting. You know what I mean? Like, and that's hard.
I do think it's interesting too that they bring up the South by Southwest and the Millie and the Vomit, and it's like that feels like something that's so like, if you don't know, you don't know. Like, but they're also like just trying to be like, remember how bad it got for her.
Right.
I'm not saying that as a judgment of the art because I think it's fucking punk, and
me too.
And like I think she's still to this day is like, yeah, I don't regret any of that.
Yeah, and I actually kind of loved that this writer was not was unafraid to go there and to be like, yeah, people thought this was problematic because of X, Y, and Z, and this is what she did. And it's not like fans being like the vomit moment.
Right.
It's
right.
like him being like, there was an artist that vomited milk on Lady Gaga as a statement about sexual assault. And people thought that it was,
Right.
you know, a bad, cancelable offense because of like body dysmorphia stuff. And I was just like, yeah, that is what happened. Like,
Right.
it doesn't have like an editorial spin. It's like, that's what happened. I mean, I guess it has an editorial spin, of course, but yeah, I guess what we're kind of getting at in this first couple of minutes, this first chunk here is just like, I feel both like, wow, there's so much like truth in this. And also like, I just want to hear Gaga talk, you know?
Right.
Like,
right.
I want to hear what she thinks about the South by Southwest performance
Right.
today. So it's kind of twofold always with this, but I also love the mystery here, because she doesn't, it isn't a back and forth interview. It's pull quotes framed by someone else.
It kind of lets people into the fact that it was a lot darker than they might have thought.
Totally.
Even at times where they thought that things were like, quote, quote, okay.
Yeah. It shows me that she and the people around her are ready to pull the curtain back on some of the last decade in a way that feels like honest and truthful and isn't just like, it's clear to me, and we've talked about this, that phase of her career that was sort of about like building her into the legend is over. She's there.
Yeah. Right.
I think it ended with the Chromatica Ball tour.
Yeah.
But now we're like in the beginning of a different era. And so now she can speak openly about A Star is Born and Joker and Chromatica.
We're in the beginning of the era where it's like babies are born and know who Lady Gaga is.
Yes.
Like,
and it's
by
insane.
Default. And it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Like, we've made it over the hump.
It's actually insane.
It's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah. It is weird to think about that chunk of her career, that kind of like cheek to cheek through Chromatica album release, or like through House of Gucci, let's say, as being longer than
it's like cheek to cheek to Michael, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the article is getting at, where it's like,
yes.
how was she able to find her way back?
Yeah.
Enter Michael Polanski.
I like that the article doesn't say that they met and it was like magically she was good. Like, it gets into how Michael met her in a place that wasn't great, and she was still not in a great place by the time she was doing the House of Gucci and stuff. And she like it's been a process. And I feel like some of the other pieces of media about their relationship have been very like, they met and she was better.
Right.
And he says something, Michael, in this story that's like, she was a person who seemed like she had no agency, or she thought she had no agency.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting and sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, read it. I'm paraphrasing here, but Gaga said something along the lines of, Rolling Stone mentions that Cynthia set Gaga and Michael up, yada, yada. Gaga was like, oh, this woman, this man, this woman, my mother, met this man who she thinks I'm going to marry. And for Gaga, it was like, for her, it was, she could see that he understood the gravity of it all, how serious it is for her, and like cared about her, the person, and not like everything that comes along with it.
Yes. And that quote was the quote for me where I was like, Michael, you are the one.
Right.
Like, if that's exactly what it is. Everything is very real to her.
He understands how serious this is.
Her art, her life, all of it, everything. She's a serious kind of gal.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know. I love that she kind of said that seriousness was something where she almost felt like she would be like, oh, I have to have like a conversation with this man.
Right.
And like actually finding like safety, comfort, and security in someone treating her like a human being. And it's like,
Right.
damn, she says something about everybody loved drunk Lady Gaga.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who is a self-identified social butterfly, I
Come
understand.
on.
I understand what she was getting at there, where it's like, oh, everyone loves me because I'm the party. But then when the party stops, who's gonna love me? You
Oh
know?
my God.
And it's like that's kind of how Michael like was able to identify that it's like, oh, it's not actually about the party. Like it's about the person.
Yeah, and they take the Michael conversation in a slightly different direction, I feel, than we've seen, where we get a quote from him saying she's not Gaga or Stephanie, she's both.
Yeah.
And they go together much better than people realize, which was another comforting thing to read after I felt a little weird about some of the Colbert questioning.
Same.
That was very like, these are separate entities.
Right.
and
then it's like the
yeah.
person that she loves the most on the planet is like, actually, it's the same person.
Right. Like she can talk
as
about
much as she wants to think that she can separate, she cannot.
It's like integrated. And that's what Mayhem is about.
And that's actually more telling than what she's telling us, because that's, you know.
Yes. And the writer goes on to say she'd put it a little differently.
Yes.
Lady Gaga, quote, Lady Gaga's the person who made Lady Gaga, she says, permitting herself a small laugh. Quote, I think I just feel more relaxed about it all. Like, I am Lady Gaga. You know, this idea that has to be something specific. I think that's an old story I used to tell myself.
Right.
And I don't really care what anyone calls it anymore. It's just me, which is a contrast to her saying Lady Gaga is the piece of art that Stephanie created.
Right.
Here she's saying Lady Gaga is the person who made Lady Gaga.
And what's funny is this is shortly after Colbert.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like even her walking away from that interview, she's been ruminating on these thoughts that she's going to be asked again, you know?
Yeah.
Like she's kind of arriving at a different place.
Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating because I think it's a way of talking about the music that I don't know that we've really gotten from an artist like Gaga, who, you know, when she was making Born This Way, she was like, I knew what I wanted this to be. This is like my New York church empowerment record, gritty, electro, grunge, whatever. And I feel like it's almost like she's discovering what Mayhem was in hindsight. And we've talked about how that has been kind of unpacked and layers have been peeled back as she has performed the music. But it's interesting how like it's almost, and we know that like as early as Disease, they were, you know, doing this video that had the multiple Gagas and all this stuff. But it does feel like she is, like you said, still working through and chewing on, if you will, these ideas about what this album in particular means for her. And I think that's interesting.
Well, and kind of refreshing to see in like a pop landscape, especially where it's like it's all about the product and the project and it being packaged into this thing. Whereas with her now, it's like it's almost like, you know, when an artist just like recorded a bunch of songs, put them together and put out an album and then was like, I guess this is kind of what it's about. You know, like it wasn't always like this in this way where it had to be this like hyper focused, hyper specific project or branding, you know, like the industry has changed in a way where, and you know, part of that is from Gaga and her influence, you know, it's like it's the beast she created. Right.
It's almost like this project undoes something.
Everything she did. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that is what's fascinating.
And that's what makes it Gaga, because that's what makes it the fame. Like, you know,
and makes it one step ahead of the culture at all times. I do want to touch on Disease though, because they talk about the Disease
they break it down
video a lot. And she says that she was in a bit of a dark slump after they made that video.
And I wonder if it's because of the process, like what it pulled out of her making that, or because of the reception. Like they don't really land on that, you know, because it's like
Yeah.
Disease, the video was made and put out, and then everything else came.
Because they're also writing about it in tandem with I showed up to set the Disease music video set with a feeling of urgency and passion because of Joker 2's reception.
Right.
So it's all kind of like tied in together. And again, this is the first time that we're getting her to say anything about Joker 2.
Right. And what she says I really liked was she's like, you know, I'm not unfazed. Like I'm a person.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna just be like, oh, I'm not, like I have no reaction.
She says I worked really hard.
She's like, I worked really hard, but she laughs because she's like, it just got so unhinged.
Yeah. And it did.
That is a good way. And in retrospect, and even in the article, they're like, Gaga was like the best part of the movie. So it's like, it's kind of like she's walking away from the car crash being like, that was crazy.
Yeah,
but,
like I loved it. I loved going to set and I loved playing this character.
Right. She's
really
like,
hard.
That's crazy that blew up because I actually had a pretty decent time and I really enjoyed it. And then her Harlequin of it all, it really makes sense that she's like coming from this place of like, well, I want to reclaim my experience of what this was. Totally. And, you know, be like, I'm proud of what I did and like the work that I put in to build this character. So I'm going to make it into something that has legs on its own.
Yeah. And the fact that she was like recording that and doing that before it even came out, you know, it's just so interesting. Yeah. And then I guess going into the Disease set and they talk about they get into the multiple Gagas of it all, and then thinking about her having a hard time after that huge moment where it was like Joker, Harlequin, Disease, the video. And there was this time period between Disease, which I think was October, November, and then Abracadabra was until the following February. And I just like wonder what that was for her. I mean, I know she was rehearsing a ton for Abracadabra. Who knows when they filmed that? But I think it was, like you said, such a good reminder that I like that she's not pretending that she lives under a rock.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, I do see the stuff.
Right. And her being like, I'm not unfazed.
Right.
Like,
right. I'm affected.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the writer goes on to talk about being in Las Vegas where they had the staging set up for Mayhem, the Mayhem Ball. And how her dancer China was playing her on stage.
Shout out to China.
Staging Gaga's part. And then the gal who plays Mistress of Mayhem on the tour is up there playing Jessica. You know, shout out to Jessica. Shout out to China,
honestly, too. Yeah.
And then Gaga is like sitting in, you know, the seats, like watching it. And that there's these three Gagas. And it really did remind me, like dark Gaga, light Gaga, and then the viewer, the artist. And it reminded me of that, I keep bringing this up, that Vogue shoot from last year where it was kind of like Gaga as jester, Gaga as like diva pop, dark pop diva, and then Gaga in like a head wrap and like an overcoat.
Well, and I think that's what Michael in the article refers to, Gaga the artist.
Yes.
Like he says something along the lines of like, oh, that's the artist.
Yeah, when she's in her little uniform.
Yeah.
Which we love to see. And our favorite, I think, is when we see her in the uniform with like a wig on too. Where she's just like those photos of her leaving the studio, you know, a year and a half ago, where it's like, so she's like in just like a blazer and spandex shorts, but she's got like a fuck-ass wig on too.
And her like skin around her eyes is taped to her asshole.
Yeah,
like
she's like, if I'm gonna go in the studio,
like,
if I'm gonna deliver these vocals that are at the end of Disease in this recording studio, I need to have a wig on.
Yeah.
But it's the only way I'm gonna get there.
And I thought it was funny that they talk about, she was like, I gotta add shallow. but she's like, we're gonna add it and I'm gonna reclaim it into like my sonic landscape. And she texts Mark Ronson and is like, hey, remember that like weird like techno drum beat that you were fucking
Yes.
around with Shallow? Can you send me that? He sends it to her, they put it in the show, and she's like, wouldn't it be crazy if I sang Shallow from a boat?
She
Like
says
she's like, that's so stupid, I have to do
she
it.
says
Like,
it's so campy to sing Shallow on a boat. Like yes, she gets like it's just so refreshing. She's so good at performing the artistry that sometimes you're like, does she know how camp this is?
right. Well, and it all comes from Michael's like, yeah, we're struggling to get her to the B stage. And she's like, how about we put Shallow in the set list, build a boat, and make it simple. Just put it on wheels.
Yeah. The divas, the dancing divas will drag
They'll
me
just
over.
push me. Yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, okay.
Great. That's how we're doing it. And it's those behind the scenes moments that I think really reveal who she is as an artist. And we've talked about, I think recently we talked about how we don't get a lot of like studio footage of Gaga,
right?
Like making the work. So it's nice to get these little snippets of what's happening. I'm dying for the MAYHEM documentary.
I know.
Side
well,
note.
people think that this project that Gaga and Michael have been talking about, like working on a film or whatever, it's like it is kind of feeling like it might be. People are thinking it's like Coachella, Copacabana, like these big moments in her career that like have been filmed and documented.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the way that all of this press could lend itself to something like that as well. I mean, I would really love to see her making MAYHEM. I know. Like
in
her,
the studio.
Andrew Watt circuit.
Just like laying down vocals.
Yeah. And then I wonder, I don't know if she's the type of gal who would be even okay with a camera crew being there while she's in that space.
Well, 5'2".
Yeah. Hey, girl.
Look it up.
Look it up. Since people don't know that song.
Which is sacrilege.
Still mad at it.
I do think, before we move on from Michael, which we're never moving on from Michael.
No.
He's in it now.
Father Monster.
Father Monster. Which we'll also get to because it's baby o'clock.
Yeah.
But I do think it's cute and fun and sweet that he's like, yeah, there have been moments where like we'll be texting each other and she's like in the studio working on something and I'll suggest an idea. And then it like turned into me getting like a songwriting credit, executive producing, blah, 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 blah. And he says something along the lines of like, it became a lot harder for people outside to like understand what that is and like people reading into it a bit more, which I think is his way of like acknowledging kind of like the crazy like conservatorship shit where people are like, Michael is controlling Gaga's career because she keeps talking about him. And it's like, no, she just really loves him. And she's like, yeah, we talk about my work at home and he contributes. So I feel like I have to give him credit.
Yeah.
Just like Red One years ago when he was like, yeah, you see a Gaga song and you see all these people like on it. It's like, yeah, that's everyone who like worked on the project, but that doesn't necessarily mean they were songwriters. But she's going to give them the credit because they were in the room. She was bouncing these ideas. Like,
I'm so glad that he acknowledged it in such a way that didn't prescribe like any value to it. And was just like, this is what it was. And other people outside of it might not.
He was like, if she wanted to open an Italian restaurant, I would learn how to cook pasta.
Right. Like it just happens that it's music. The person I love makes music. I also loved that he said they've had moments during this tour even where they're like, what if we just got married?
Like right now.
We could do it this weekend. They say that they want a small wedding and nothing fancy. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, are they married?
And he was like, nothing will really change because it feels like we're married anyways.
Right, exactly. And it's just so interesting to like have this other perspective on her that is so intimate.
Well, and Michael being like, of course, when people talk about our partnership, it feels like it goes this one way, but it's actually like she is so gracious to me and like invested in what I do, but what I do isn't public facing. So it's like not the same.
Yeah.
But like she is just as much of an equal partner in like the work that I do.
Yeah. And they reveal that she is like a co-founder of a skin health research company on the East Coast.
Massachusetts.
Yes. That she was privately a founder
funding.
of.
Yeah.
Up until this was released.
Yeah.
So it's, like she supports what he does. He supports what she does. That's how it should be.
Speaking of men and support, she does talk about her father in this interview.
Yes.
She keeps it light.
Mm-hmm.
But she basically says, like, yeah, I try to keep my relationship with my father not focused on the things we don't agree on.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very diplomatic and good answer.
And she's like, we're a family, just like everyone else is.
Because if I was up in the public eye like that, I would not be being anything but diplomatic when it came to my family.
It's really nobody's business. And I did see a couple people posting, like, I really appreciate this take because as like a queer person, like with family who falls in a different political camp, like I get judgment for still having a relationship with my family, and like seeing someone like this being like, that's my dad, like I'm gonna love him, but it's challenging. Just like acknowledging that there's like such a desire for things to be like so clean, like a clean break, like, oh great, well your dad voted for Trump, never speak to him again for the rest of your life.
Right. Like how,
oh, okay.
Like you are accountable for his actions,
right.
Which is not how it should work.
Right. And also wasn't, when we set out for the project of America, I don't think anyone thought that we would be where we're at.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to criticize something about this.
Please do.
And just about the last year. I'm going to regret saying this. I don't give a shit. I love, like I just said, hearing a different perspective. I'm back on Father Monster. Hearing a different perspective on Gaga. That's so intimate. But I also don't need him to be quoted in every interview. Like, I don't know. Like, is it that they're just sitting down together every time she has a major press piece? Is it that they really want to push her relationship as part of...
So I'm going to give you an answer, and I don't know if you're going to like it.
Okay.
She really wants to push him as part of her creative project and like her life. And she's letting us all know that, like, I found the one. Because she has done this before. I remember her sitting on Ellen being like, Taylor Kinney's my best friend. He makes me the reason I am. We sit around and play video games and eat pizza. And it's like, girl, where is he now? Like
playing video games.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not that I like, of course, anyone listening who's listened to the show knows that I want the best for her, knows that I am a Michael Polanski stan, and I have been since freaking late 2019. But I also wonder where it goes from here. That's all.
I mean, I think she's building to, it's no surprise they even end the interview talking about this, about a baby. And she's like, that is what is coming next. Like, we are going to have children.
Yes.
Like, we are going to get married and then we're going to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like, the interviewer said something along the lines of like, I remember when we spoke and you were like 23 or whatever, and you were like, I'll fully be Lady Gaga forever, even if I have a baby. And she's like, I lied.
Yeah, people are reading into that comment and being like, what do you mean she won't be Lady Gaga forever? But she's saying, I'm not going to be diva pop star when I'm mothering my child.
Right.
Like, and Michael even has a quote in there talking about like, what we do is what we do as a family. This is going to be like mom's job, essentially,
right.
It doesn't have to be who she is. And like, I think that's really what this is all about. Like, it's always like labeled as Stephanie and Gaga and like, which are you and who's who and blah, blah, blah. But really it's like, how much of it is what you do and how much of it is who you are. And there's a lot of there's a lot of overlap there for her. And we know that, and we've known that for a long time. And I hate that she has to explain it constantly.
Right. Well, and I'm also just like, she was fucking 23 and doing buttloads of cocaine. Like, everything she said, like, we can't necessarily take
let her be
fucking, like,
let her be 23. Jeez.
yeah,
And
literally.
I did love that the writer called out that she was 27 during some of
All
the
like the beginning of the end. Yeah.
the art pop of it all. And they also had some quotes from Andrew Watt in this piece. I guess because it's a Rolling Stone, like a music
Right.
magazine, but he says that there were moments. I'm sorry, I'm pivoting so hard here. I'm just kind of like remembering. There were moments where she would deliver a vocal in the studio that would bring him to tears.
Right.
And I'm like, that's my girl.
Mhm.
Make the boys cry in the studio.
Bring your own Kleenex. Yeah.
Yes. And again, I guess I'm bringing that up because I'm like, yeah, I want to know more about that process. I want to see her making these songs. But
Well, maybe they really are teasing this kind of documentary situation.
yeah,
It does seem like all the press is kind of laid out in these perfect times. Like, I could
Mhm.
see these interviews being woven into the film,
Yeah, yeah. And there's the speculation about Total Mayhem being this like extended release.
Right.
Because Gaga has said that phrase. It might not even be a thing. But what if it's a
Well,
freaking
and
movie?
she was doing the little ad libs with Mary the Night performances with these like new lyrics. And then I guess today someone was saying that like in France, she's like, I've got a lot of new music. Like,
I don't know.
so.
It's kind of like,
Well, it's this funny thing where she's like, I'm gonna have a baby, but then every time she's performing, she's like, I'll be back soon.
well, I guess, see, what I saw was that somebody pulled that out of context when she is doing Vanish into You. She says, I'll be back in 20 years when I have a ton of new music for you. And they just took that bit out and they're like making it a headline. But who knows? That's the thing. With Gaga now, she's, it could be anything. She could have nothing up her sleeve or literally everything we've ever dreamed for. Like, that's what it is. And I do think it would be cool to get some like behind the scenes of what this process has been like, because they keep talking about Michael's involvement and Andrew Watt and Circuit and all of that stuff. And they talk about Gaga being in the studio and, Andrew Watt's working with the Rolling Stones and that whole story again, where it's like she hears the song one time, he gives her the lyrics and she's ad-libbing it. It's a duet and Stevie Wonder's there. And it's just like these moments that in the last couple of years, she spent a lot of time in the studio. I want to know more about it, but that's just me being selfish.
And this interview took place in the studio.
Yes.
The studio where she wrote Vanish Into You.
Let's be real about it. And they said that Vanish Into You was the first song. I think they alluded to that in another piece.
Yeah.
But they said this was the first song.
And then she said bangers only for the rest of the album. Yeah.
I'm having regrets that I said that about Michael. Michael, I know you're listening.
No, it's fine. He understands.
I think you get it. I hope.
He understands. The
Yeah,
gravity of the situation.
Yes, it's just interesting. I guess it's less about him and less about Gaga than it is my own, like, why do we have to ask the other person about the person that we're talking about?
Right. Well,
that's
but
all
I do think it is like Gaga is putting
she
it
wants
out there.
It. She wants
that. And like
because she's kind of like, he can explain me better than I can explain myself. And she says something in this too where she's like, how could I know if I was being myself if I could never be myself around anyone else or something like that? And it's like, okay, yeah, Michael, thank you.
Well, and it's like the two people that she shouts out as like the litmus test of like, am I okay? It's Natalie and Michael.
Right. Sister shit.
Yeah, sister shit. I know. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, T. Your sister being like,
girl, your sister
girl.
Is,
yeah. I say sister, but I mean brother in my context. But sister in your context.
Yeah, it's just.
But like that moment where it's like, diva.
We are like genetically.
Yeah, like I know something's up. Yeah.
What else? What are your main takeaways here?
Well, I was gonna say that I do think that I like everyone else in 2025, I'm just so happy and proud and just like to see something that is like, like music heads read Rolling Stone and for this to just like show up at their house and like read this about this person that we love so much and know so much about. Like, I think ultimately it's a pretty decent profile.
Yeah.
And I think that for a campaign for album of the year, it's a great move.
They're doing the damn thing.
Yep. And Rolling Stone already said that they think she's going to win. So, of course, she's the cover star now, post Grammy nominations. Like,
yeah. I think my takeaway is like, just it was such a reminder of how long her career has been and how much she's been through. And Mayhem, you know, it has such good music on it. And like, it's easy for me to like put it on and vibe and jam. And then to really like step back and be like, oh my God, like this is the culmination of the last 17 years sonically for her, and like what this really means and what this is really doing. And like, I guess it's just
I think
all those
honestly,
pieces.
it's bigger than we thought it was going to be.
I agree.
And it's like, it almost feels like sometimes I have to pinch myself in a way where I'm like, oh, I'm not getting like kicked in the shins for liking Lady Gaga.
That's exactly
like,
what it is. It's just this kind of like,
I'm like used to being abused. Yeah. That I'm like, oh,
yeah. And just getting a lot of material from her mouth about what she's doing and how she feels and the work and the tour. And it's just like, oh.
I did think it was interesting too that they like, this is just kind of a little aside, but it's like the tour is lining up to like her expectation, like this time, basically.
Yeah.
Like something like that, where it was like, and she said, she's like, I've had a lot of really good shows. Like, she knows that.
She knows she has.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels good to know that she's in love. She loves it.
Well, and I think another perfect kind of, you know, this isn't how it ends. It ends with the baby Gaga of it all. But you know, she's been talking about the gothic dreams of Mayhem.
Yes.
And that's kind of been like the through line. And we did a little chiding where we were like, okay, I should pull that out of her ass, whatever.
Yeah.
But then the interviewer reminds her of a dream that she shared with him back in like 2011 about this kind of like other being duality, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, wait. This has been the whole thing the whole time. Like privately, this is what's been going on in her noggin.
Yeah. She's like, there's a white wall and there's an entity that comes out and grips my soul. Like,
right. It's like, and that is Mayhem. Like that.
Yes.
Like this idea has been there. Like it's not. Yeah.
It's literally been what it's always been what it's been. It's like the woman that she created for the fame. This blonde, heavy wig wearing, eyelash wearing, no pants diva. That girl, that's Mistress of Mayhem now.
Mayhem. Yeah.
And that's what's the fucking trip of it all. People don't realize that like the girl doing like
the girl with the feathered lash. Yeah.
That's Mistress of Mayhem. And then the girl in like the leather with the no brows being like, love yourself. That's ethereal Gaga.
That is ethereal Gaga.
You know what I mean? Like,
and the fact that they named her that too, I was like, spot on.
Like, I think it's not as clear as people think it is. It's like Gaga has light albums and dark albums. I'm like, it's so much more complicated than that.
Like I said earlier, it's darker than you would think.
Yes. I'm telling you, the Mistress of Mayhem, she ate Allie Main.
And spat her back up. And said, do your little dance, girl. Do the dead dance.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Sorry, we're like so bouncing around, but like thinking about who Mayhem is and Gaga being like, it's this like domineering version of myself, the part of being a pop musician that I don't like to be.
The thing that I'm afraid of.
Yeah. But then she's up there and she's fucking living.
Right.
You know, it's both.
And then she's like, I hate this thing, but I start the show as her.
Yes. And once I start doing the choreo, I'm like, I love it up here.
I love it. Know? Yeah.
Iconic diva. What a great piece. If you haven't read it, yes, read it.
Read it.
Well, if you got to the end of this rigmarole, thanks for listening.
Yeah. And sorry that you missed out on That's Gossip, November 13th.
Yeah.
It was going to be a good one.
It would have been this plus another half hour.
Yeah. It would have been like 3 hours long.
Yeah. But anyway, stay tuned for more.
Yes.
And consider this pearl chewed. Trying that out.
Yes.
Trying that out. Thanks,
We're trying it out. Am I supposed to be the gavel? Wham!
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
It's like chewing on pearls.